there, it's your girl Barbie J, and we are talking about Tyler Perry's comedy drama, Sistas, Season 6, Episode 8, Uneven Playing Field. So, who was the field uneven for? Was that for Zach and Fatima, or Zach and Karen, or Preston and Danny, or Q and Maurice, or Calvin and Sabrina? I mean, who was it for? Who was it for? Maybe it was Andy and Gary or Tamara and Hayden. I didn't get that title. Somebody explained it to me. Anyway, I wasted too much time with that. So let's jump right in and discuss this episode. So it starts off with Fatima. She's crying in the conference room and asking for the ring because she's going to give it back to Zach and end it. Andy's having a heart-to-heart with her, asking Fatima to take a breather and think about it first and talk to Zach before ending it. She tells her that seeing her and Zach in love gives her hope, and she's crying too. And Fatima's telling Andy that she can't do it. She's not going to be in competition with an ex. It's not her, you know that. And she tells her if Karen asks what happened, Andy says she won't. She said if she asks, just tell her that Zach is still in love with her and that's why she's ended it and she can have him. I said, really, Fatima, we giving up like that quick? You gonna do that to, to Karen and just give him to her? You can't give him to her. I don't know why people say stuff like that. You can't do that. So then Gary shows up to the conference room door and Fatima says, speaking of ending things, and then added, I guess I'm not the only one who's afraid to be alone. I didn't know Fatima was afraid to be alone. Maybe I missed that along the way. I guess a lot of people are. But then Gary has the audacity to walk the freak in while they're talking. And Fatima's crying. I'm like, dude, they are at work and you should wait until you are given the okay to enter. I'm like, oh my God. So Fatima walks out one door as Gary closes the door from entering unannounced through the other door. Then he wants to talk about what Andy had said about him the other night when she was under the influence. She said she was being honest and he asked, is he honest sex? And she said, oh no, you're great sex. And so then Gary, all of a sudden, he wants to be honest and says, she wasn't the best sex he's ever had and her game is weak. And she lets him know that she's good at what she does. I guess she's talking about sexually with her sexual healing. And of course, he tries to, because he's petty, he tries to defunct her notion of being good at sex. Then Andy realizes he's just trying to get back at her for what she said to him. He denies it, but we all know the deal. So Andy says they should never have sex again. And Gary agrees. And then he states that he'll be at her house at 8 o'clock. And she's like, for what? But she can't even be strong enough to tell him, oh, hell nah, you won't. And she tells him he won't be able to get in. And Gary says, oh, we'll see. And then Andy says, well, I won't be home until 9:30. And he told her, also that he can tell that all of this was turning her on. And she's trying to act like it didn't. I'm like, Andy, you are terrible. You really are. You are so weak. You doing all of this talking to Fatima, but you are so weak yourself. So then Tamara, comes from under the desk and she finishes what she was doing to Hayden and she gets up and tells him she's going to go home and cook dinner for him. And he was trying to really talk to her and tell her something. I think he's still uncomfortable with this marriage thing. But she was like, don't worry, don't say another word. And then the next thing you know, Gary walks in again, another office, unannounced. You see, you got windows there. You can see he's with somebody. So he meets Tamara. She's like, who are you? And he says, I'm Gary. And she's like, okay. And then she leaves and tells, Hayden she'll see him at home, and Hayden's... And then Gary asks Hayden about the annulment again and then tells him that Tamara checks out and that she only got in a little bit of trouble in high school. And so Hayden I think he's relieved about that and he smiles. So then Gary is still insisting on him getting an annulment and they're going back and forth. And Hayden is like, don't worry, I got this. I'm an attorney. I know what to do, blah, blah, blah. Then Gary asks about Robin and starts to leave when he turns around and tells Hayden he needs to take a shower and wash his hands. I was like, he didn't need to take no damn shower. He do need to clean up and wash his hands, though. And Hayden tells him to shut up and that he's just a hater. And you know what? I agree. He is a hater. Now we see Karen and Zach sitting in a coffee shop or whatever, and she reminds him that he took her there on their second date. Oh, so here we are with the reminisce and I reminisce over you, my love. You know, what's that song? I forgot. It was a reminisce song somebody did. I think it was a rap. Anyway, so then she made a comment. Karen made some kind of comment saying that's when she knew that she would be with him forever. You know, they were talking about how he was so broke when he took her there and he was nervous and all this stuff. And so Zach just looked at her, like somebody said, like a deer in headlights, you know, and then made a statement about how life is and how they are both, you know, where they are in their life and they're together, but he's with Fatima. And Karen rolls her eyes up in her head and he said, and you're with the preacher. And Karen's like, I'm not with him. And Zach says, but I'm with her. And Karen's like, are you? And Zach said, I can't be any more clearer than that. And once again, he explained that he loves her and doesn't want anything to happen to her, but he's with Fatima. And Karen said, you sure? And Zach said, I'm positive. And that's when Karen starts with the, I want you to take me home and make love to me, and I want you on top of me, and I want you inside of me. And Zach tells her that he only came there because he loves her and he cares about her. And but I'm with Fatima, he said. And he kept saying, I'm with Fatima. And Karen asked, do you love her like you love me? I said, oh, no, you didn't, girl. Somebody need to smack her. And, you know, somebody need to smack her. And Zach tells her that it's different. It's a different type of love, but he knows that he's in love with her. And she tells him that, you know, he ran to her the way he ran to her, that he let his heart show. And again, he said that he's with Fatima and that he plans to marry her. So she said, so you going to pretend that me and this baby don't exist? And that's when Zach did the zinger on her. Bing, 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 bing. He's like, I don't even know if that baby is mine. I said, ooh. No, he didn't. So Karen gets upset and decides to leave. And he says, so you going to get upset? And she was like, she tells him that she's not, he tells her he's not coming over. And she says she's going to leave the door unlocked for him. And he's like, you don't have to do that. And she said, yes, I do. And she's like so sure that he's going to come that she keeps talking about, yeah, I'm going to leave it open. And she said, because you don't have a key no more. And Zach said, I'm not coming. He said, you're going to end up letting the wrong person in. I said, oh, okay. He was right about that. And she was like, we'll see. And she left. And he was like, I'm not coming over there. And now we have Danny coming home and Preston's in the kitchen, topless with those beautiful abs showing. And Danny's acting like she didn't know Preston would be there. And he said, I told you that I would be here. And she telling him that, you know, that guy is not going to bother her anymore. And like he could leave and stuff. And he's like, no, I'm going to stay here a few more days. I'd rather be safe. You know, she's like, what a few more days going to mean? I was like, girl, stop playing these games. And then 5 minutes later, after she telling him that she thought he wasn't going to be there, then she goes, I was thinking about you and us and thought that maybe that we could give it a try. And Preston says, really? And he says, you got my attention now. And he asks, what does that mean? Dating, you know? And she said, yes, dating seriously. And Preston he said, I'm good with that. And Danny says, the only thing is she don't want to hear Mindy's name mentioned anymore. And Preston said, Mindy who? And Danny said, ouch. And I was like, damn. You know, and everybody else was like, what? You know, so Preston says this deserves a celebration that he's going to take her out to dinner. And she's like, but you cook. He said, forget that. We got to go out to dinner. And she's like, ooh, what did I do to deserve this? I was like, girl, just shut up and just keep it moving. Just go out. Because if y'all remember, Danny and Preston have never gone out to eat together out in public. They have never done anything out in public together because the one time they went out in public when they was in that supermarket, remember they was getting food. He was going to go home and cook at her house. And these black girls walked by and was giggling or saying something. And Danny thought they were talking about her and got upset and wanted to leave the supermarket. And that's why I'm thinking she had a problem with messing with a white guy. Even though we know Preston is half black, half white. Go ahead, Preston. In real life, his good looking self. Anywho, now we have Sabrina showing up to Calvin and Maurice's apartment, and she tells them that she spoke to Q, and Calvin asked what did he say, and Maurice said it was just a waste of time, and Sabrina said he's right, that's what it was, a waste of time. And Maurice walks out saying that he'll see them on the other side, because Maurice is saying, first of all, I talked to him, she talked to him, everybody trying to talk to him, he's a mean son of a gun, blah 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 blah. So that's when Maurice walks out saying that, he'll see them on the other side. And he made it seem like he wanted to kill himself or something, because he was just done and tired about all of this stuff. And they kept saying, you can't go and bother him no more, you're gonna make it worse, and then you're gonna end up going to jail if anything happens to him. He said, oh, I'm gonna be gone, I'm gonna be in the wind and all this stuff. And not one of them mentioned you can't leave because we got that bond on you, that $1 million bond, and Bayou got to get his money back or whatever. She got, nobody said that. I don't know why they left that out, to just refresh his memory that he shouldn't be just doing whatever he wants to do. Anywho, when Maurice walked out, Sabrina and Calvin was like, maybe we should follow him, because they was thinking he might want to kill himself. And they were going to follow him, but then he was only kidding about killing himself, or whatever he was saying. So as Calvin and Sabrina are talking, her phone rings and it's Andy asking her to meet her at Karen's and to call Danny to come as well. And, y'all, I can't. I hate it when Sabrina and them answer the phone. And when they do this, they got the damn 50 questions thing going. What's going on? Is she hurt? Is everything okay? Etc., etc., etc. I'll be up there, stop it, y'all killing me right now. So she calls Danny and asks her to meet at Karen's house. And Danny does the same thing. Is she okay? Why does she want us over there? Is there going to be more drama? Is she going to tell us who the baby daddy is? I was like, oh God, I can't do this with them. Somebody change that script, please. Hurry up. So anyway, Sabrina tells Calvin she has to leave. Danny says she'll meet them, and then Sabrina tells Calvin she has to leave right away. And he's disappointed because he's hoping that they could hang out, and he thinks she's going to meet Bayou. He's like, you going to meet him? But, she's like, Calvin, please. And he apologizes, and Sabrina thanks him for everything, and she leaves. So now we see Q at the airport, and Maurice rolls up. Now, somebody tell me down in the comment section, because I'm really getting tired of my intelligence being insulted. Even if Q worked in a certain area of the airport, you ain't gonna never always just find him unless he's at a desk somewhere just sitting there. Like Danny's at a desk standing there. So how in the world was he able to find Q so quickly in that crowded behind airport? Put it down in the comment section, because this is a bunch of BS. And so now, and not even that, at this point, Q is getting in some random chick's car, and he not even working. So how the hell did Maurice find him? So anyway, Maurice calls himself warning the girl about him, that he ain't being, and he's not being serious enough for her to even believe him. Talking about he gonna steal the wood floor, he gonna steal the backsplash, he gonna steal the ceramic tiles, all his dumbness and stuff. Say he gonna take your damn money and all that stuff. If he said it, I don't remember, because he said so much BS that I was like, you need to be serious, Maurice, and stop with this. And Q was like, are you following me? How did you find me? And he's like, you're scared. And, I'm like, Maurice, they got cameras there, and they're going to see that you're the aggressor. You're the one who came up on him. You're the one that at his job for no apparent reason. Let it go. So anyway, Q gets in the car with the rammed chick, and she just looks at Maurice, and she finally drives off, and Maurice and his dumb butt is holding on to the side of the car being stupid. Oh, God. So now we have Fatima sitting on the couch when Zach comes home, and he tries to kiss her, and she turns her head, and then Zach tries to talk to her, and her ring is not on her finger. She wants to talk, and Zach says, good, because he wants to talk too. So he asked, can he go first? And she says no. And he said, of course, So they start talking, and Fatima tells him how he made her feel, and he started explaining, how she felt. He left her and abandoned and ran out and all this stuff. And he started explaining to her what he was feeling and going through. He had never experienced something like this before, not even with his mama, so he didn't really know how to act and everything. But before they even did that, he was like, so your ring's not on your finger, so let me guess, you got your bags packed in at the top of the stairs. And she goes, no, they're in my car. He said, so what are we doing? You going to run in, you leave it, what? And she was saying, no, she can't do this. And he said, that's why your ring is not on your finger. And she's like, yeah. And that's when they started talking, because I'm sorry, I skipped some stuff. So Zach tells Fatima that he was with Karen, because she asked where was he all this time. He said he was with Karen, and he told her everything that Karen said to him, and that he said back to Karen. And she couldn't believe it at first. She was like, she just came up and said that. She was bold enough to say that. And he was like, yeah, she was. So Zach asks her, what is this all about? Because she said she felt humiliated. Everybody saw how he was treated, how he was acting, and she was standing there looking crazy. So Zach asks her, is this about her being, humiliated, or does she really think he wants to be with Karen? And she's like, you don't get it. And he said, that's why I'm asking you. Then he said, is it both? And she said, yes. So Zach apologizes and said that he effed up and didn't mean to humiliate her. And Zach told her that when she saw Ian, he reminded her when she saw Ian, and Fatima quickly says, that's different. That was different. And Zach said, again, when you saw Ian, you sat up in that tub and you looked exactly now how I looked, and she had to think about it, and she admitted that he was right. And he asked her to give him some grace, and that he's not going to have sex with anyone else. He only wants to be with her. He's been going through therapy, trying to be a better version of himself, and that he is madly in love with her. Then he asked her for grace, please to give her grace, and told her that he's not going to beg her anymore and that he loves her. So she says she'll give him grace and will try to be more understanding. And Zach said, thank you. And now put your ring back on. And she asked him to put it back on for her. And he said, no, he already put it back on. And she took it off. And now she got to choose to put it back on. And he said, now tell me you love me. And she said it, I love you. And he says, I can't hear you. And she says it again, I love you. And Zach's like, now show me. And they start giggling and stuff and everything and having a good time. So it looks like they're going to get through it. But I'm glad that Andy spoke to Fatima first, because she put it in her head. Talk to him first. Don't go rushing, doing nothing and leaving and all of that stuff. So it looks like it's going to work out. And then it ends with Andy walking into Karen's house, and Karen sitting there with this little black gown on and thinking, she's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, you ain't call first? She said, since when I call first? She said, you just don't walk in. I could have been busy. She was like, oh, busy doing what? Like, busy. And Karen was like, well, Zach is coming over and we gonna have sex. Andy's like, Karen, really? What are you doing? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, that's when Danny and Sabrina show up. It's funny how they always show up together, and they always got a parking space because they all come together. So where's all this free parking over there in Atlanta? I don't know where it is, because I can never find any when I'm out there. Anyway, so Karen is like, how did you know? Why did they hear too? They know too. So Karen is thinking that Danny and Sabrina know what's going on with Zach and stuff. And she said, see, I didn't tell him nothing. You just did. She said, try trusting me sometimes. This is Andy saying that. But, the girls are like, what's going on? And Danny and Sabrina's like, what? What's going on? And Danny goes, yes, we know about who the baby's daddy is and all this stuff. And they said, see, they don't know anything, so Karen realizes they don't know anything. So then Karen asks Danny why she all dressed up, and Danny tells them that Preston is taking her out for dinner. And she said, oh, that's nice and stuff. And Sabrina turned it around and said, now back to Zach. So Karen tells them that she and Zach had a nice day together, and that he's coming over for sex. And Danny's like, what? What about Fatima? And Karen's like, she don't want to talk about all that and something like that. And they're going back and forth. And now it's like, Karen's like, y'all gotta go. Y'all gonna have to go because he should be coming soon. And then Fatima walks through the door. And at the same time, Danny's like, Zach is coming over for sex. And that's where Fatima goes, that's what I want to know. But I'm sorry, honey. The way Karen is, y'all know Karen gonna have a fit. And you saw by next week's previews that she's like, you walking up in my house and stuff. And that's true. You walking up in her house. I said Fatima should have said, I came with a message from Zach, baby. Here's what it is. Pow, 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 pow. No, let me stop. But and Andy's trying to break them up. So I guess this is the point where Andy's gonna have to make this decision who she gonna side with. But anyway, y'all, that's how this episode went. Y'all let me know down in the comment section what y'all thought about it. And for those of you who haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please take a moment right now and hit that subscribe button. Then hit the notification bell and hit all, and it'll let you know every time I upload some new content. Then I ask that you hit that like button, which is the thumbs up button. Write a comment because we got to keep this channel going with the conversation, and share my video. Share it with your friends and your family and your loved ones, your enemies, your frenemies, whatever. It's your girl Barbie J saying I can't do this without you. Peace.